Hi, this is Trisha from Lemon Paper Lab. In this video, I'm going to show you how to save your file as a JPEG in Adobe Photoshop. Let's go ahead and create our file here. So I'm going to go new file. I'm going to use the dimensions of 3600 pixels by 3600 pixels, resolution set to 300 pixels per inch because this is going to be a digital paper, and then color mode RGB color, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on create. For this demonstration, I'm just going to pick one of my patterns here. There are a couple of options to save your file as a JPEG. For this one, let's go to File, and then we'll go to Save As. Here you can give your file a name, and then I'm going to save it on my computer here. And then you can navigate to where you want to save it. And then here under File Format, you'll want to select JPEG. And then typically I have Embed Color Profile selected here. And then we'll just go ahead and click on Save. In the JPEG options, you have the option to choose the quality. This is going to be digital scrapbook paper, so I want to make sure it's set to a maximum here. And then click on OK. So that's the basic way to save it, but you do have some other options. So we'll go to File, Save a Copy. I like to use Save a Copy when I am working with a Photoshop file and I just want to save out my image. So if you just go through the steps here, you'll do the same thing. So we have our pattern. I'm just going to go Save a Copy as an example. And then you go through the same steps here. Just want to make sure we have JPEG selected and then click on Save. Another option is with the Export As feature, and you can find that under File, Export, Export As. Here we have our file settings and format. We can select our JPEG here, and then we can see our image size. And then you can click on Export and it will save it as a JPEG. So we'll go ahead and save that here. But one thing I want to note with the Export As feature is it will save it in a 72 dpi resolution. So this document is set at 300 dpi, which is an industry standard for digital scrapbook paper. But what you'll notice, so if I click on our Save a Copy, we see here in the resolution, we have our 300 by 300 resolution. Same thing for when we did the Save As, we have our resolution here. What you'll notice here, that when I click on the Export As one, we don't see that resolution information. But if I go to open it here, and then I go to Tools, Show Inspector, we'll get more information here, which gives us our image DPI at 72 pixels per inch. So what you'll notice with the Export As feature is that it doesn't preserve the 300 DPI. It will save it at a DPI of 72 pixels per inch. So if you're trying to save something for the web, which only requires a 72 pixels per inch, the Export As feature can be useful. But in this case, for digital scrapbook paper, where you want it to be the high resolution, the 300 DPI, I would use the Save As or Save a Copy feature to save your file as a JPEG. Next, I want to talk about if you are using artboard. So say we click on this file and then we create an artboard from layer. So now we've converted our document into an artboard. So I'm going to zoom out Command or Control with the minus key here. And then let's go ahead and just duplicate this artboard. So right click, duplicate artboard, and say I choose another pattern here. So we have two artboards. In this case, you can have multiple artboards. In this case, to save it as a JPEG, we are going to go to File, Export, Artboards to Files. Here you can select the destination, and then you can give it a prefix. And then with the prefix here, it will take on the prefix here, and then it will take on the artboard names. So in this case, we did not specify our artboard's name, so they're just kind of generic right now. But if you want to have it saved out to your brand, you can rename your artboards before this step. And then you'll want to make sure artboard content only is selected. And then under these export options here, you want to make sure include artboard name is not selected. And then here you can specify your file type. And again, we are just working with JPEG, and I'm going to go ahead and run it. And then it will just cycle through each of those artboards and save them as their own file. And we get the success message here. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull those up. So we have our two here. We had our magenta and teal prefix added to our artboard name. And here we can see that we have our resolution preserved at that 300 dpi. So if you want to preserve your 300 dpi resolution, you'll do that export artboards to files if you're saving multiple. And again, you do have the option to use the export as for multiple files. What I think is interesting in this dialog is they'll give you a suffix instead of a prefix. So this is something you can add on to the end instead of the beginning, and then we will just select both here. And then again, you have your file settings. We have our JPEG. We'll click to export it, and then we'll click on open to save it out. And then if we go back here, we can see our artboard name, and then the extra detail was added to the end. And again, it doesn't give us that detail. So if we do our show inspector, again, it will save it at 72 pixels per inch. So if you're saving for digital scrapbook paper or something that has a higher resolution than 72 dpi, definitely don't use the export as feature, but I just wanted to show you that that is another option. If you're saving files that are destined just to be displayed on the web, then the export as feature can be a good option as well. I hope you like this video on how to save a JPEG file in Photoshop. If you liked this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment below. This is Trisha from Lemon Paper Lab. See you next time.